Hey guys, welcome into Fantasy Football Academy 2020. I am the Dean, and today is waiver time. It's time to get those waivers in for your playoff push. Look, pretty soon the your trade deadline is going to come in your league. If it hasn't already, make sure that you're checking that to see if or when your trade line is coming about. Okay. Um, Also, we're going to be doing a review of the Academy Grads 2020 Fantasy Football League. So, which is my league of record here on Fantasy Football Academy 2020. Remember, if you have not yet subscribed, down at the bottom, subscribe, like, and share for me. Leave your comments, leave your questions. If you need some help coming up in the playoffs, let me know. And I know some of you might be out of the playoffs already, and that's fine. But look, you can always learn. This is a learning experience for me as well as it is for you. So this is our inaugural year here at the Academy. I'm hoping to have many more years of success, and hopefully, I want you guys to come and be a part of that. So the way we do that, down at the bottom, subscribe for me, like, share, get the word out. Look, here we're not about glitz, glamour. Uh, there's no high tech things, although I hope to have those coming in the future. I have plans in the off season to kind of work on the editing, kind of bring you guys a little more of an enjoyable episodes. But what I want you guys to take away from this is that I'm trying to show you guys environmental roster management, environmental drafting, which is something that you don't really see anywhere else. A lot of places are going to hit you with stats. They're going to hit you, with this stat or that stat. And look, I can sit here all day and break down stats, and I could have stats on a player and have my take on it, and somebody can have the exact same stats and having a completely other take on it. And I can show you stats that show both sides of the argument and make you sit there and go, I'm confused. I've done that. I've seen other shows where they bring up a player like one of the guys off of my waivers this week, Naheem Hines. Look, they were like, Naheem Hines, yeah, he broke out this week, but they're not going to do it again. Look, the stats say this, the stats say that. So here's the thing. You got to trust your gut. Remember, this is entertainment. This is fun. This is how it should be. It should be fun. Okay. Yeah. Is some money involved? Probably. Okay. If you're playing fantasy football, unless you're playing on an online platform like Yahoo or something like that, and you're playing in a community, money's probably not involved. If you're in a redraft league or a dynasty league with a bunch of buddies of yours from work or guys that you grew up with, yeah, you're probably putting in some money and you probably got something on the line. Okay, it makes it more interesting, makes it more fun. But I'm telling you, if it's not fun, you're not doing it right. Okay, guys. So hopefully I'm showing you guys how to do it right. Let's get into the review of Week 10 results. We're gonna pick this up. Just so you guys know, the Dean lost to the student. My boy D Money took me down with his kicker. Yes, that's right. His kicker. And look, this is how fantasy football goes sometimes, guys. You never know who's going to go off. You never know who's going to have a good game and just blow up unexpectedly. Ryan Suckup, kicker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, was my downfall this week. Plus the fact that, as you see here, my defense, the number one rated defense in fantasy, going up against Cam Newton and the Pats. Look, I don't know what happened. They only got one sack, no interceptions, no fumble recoveries. And then you've got the Patriots, or the Tampa Bay's kicker over here with 17 points. And then Marvin Jones shows up with 96 and a TD, giving him 23 points. And then down here, my boy, Captain Kirk, getting his shouts out to Captain Kirk. Congratulations on your first Monday night win. I wish a few of them had have come with your other team, but I'm happy for you. He got the win, 19-13 over Chicago. I wish he hadn't have had the interception. I wish they didn't have the fumble. And I wish they had scored more points and they hadn't returned a touchdown. That would have really helped me out a lot, guys. But I do fall to the student. So congratulations to D Money, my boy. Now, his boy Josh Allen did his thing. Aaron Jones showed up big. I was without Travis Kelce, not making excuses, but I'm just saying, just stating fact. I had to go out and get Austin Hooper, who I thought was going to do a whole lot more than what he did in a bad weather game. But it is what it is. I'm taking the L. So it's okay. I'm still in the playoff hunt. So let's go on up here. We're going to break down. Let's see. We had a really close one here with the returning champ versus Hunter. This was the number 2 versus number 3 matchup. So last week I took Hunter down, making him fall to number 3. This week he stays in number 3 with a 7-3 record. Returning champs Manny goes to 8-2 in second place behind Charles, and the Slutty Mutts beating up on the Alpha Chads, beating them by almost 50 points. This was just ugly. I thought it was going to be a little bit better than this, but then Alvin Kamara happened. Alvin Kamara, 34 points. Adam Thielen chipped in with 20. Devontae did his normal 18 to 20 point game. We see Jimmy Graham there with a goose egg on Monday night. Let's scroll down here. The only thing, let's see, we could have gotten Saunders in there as a kicker, give him 4 points. Big Ben, who was one of my sits of the week, bust out with 37 points. So sorry to all those who took advice on that one. I call it like I see it, and I saw him injured, not well, but him, Juju, and Claypool all going off. So congrats to those who went with their gut. Our game of the week was New Car Smell versus COVID-19ers, Mr. Nick versus Dalton, and this one was no contest at all. This one was ugly. Capital letters all across the board. We got Jared Goff in there, but his, let's see, Burrow got 14, so it was not a good week for either one of his quarterbacks. However, starting Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. Now, a lot of people were a little upset with Nick Chubb. I myself have him in my listener league, which I won. Unfortunately, the person that I played seems to have given up in that league. And a little PSA here again: if you're out of it, just keep up with the league, guys. Keep up with with your team. If it's doing bad, try to see how you can make it better. Play spoiler, and don't let anybody walk all over you. That's no fun. So But yeah, so Brandon Ayuk coming back off of the COVID list, putting up 19. Mike Evans putting up 19. Nick Chubb put up 19. Uh, he just had a good showing all the way around. On his bench, really not a whole lot of points left. We see over here though, Tua with 18 on the board could have been a little better than Deshaun, but I understand starting Deshaun. Starting Gio, he really didn't have a choice because he had Joe Mixon, and there's really no other running back on his squad that really did a lot. David Montgomery was out with concussion protocol, and James White was, well, James White. So Rex Burkhead getting a lot of the attention in New England. Then we move down to C's Cowboys versus the Fighting Infernapes. Quick note, show note here. Dustin and the Fighting Infernapes will be appearing on Saturday's show, giving you a special look at one of my sponsors that I'd love to thank and I want to plug. If you guys want to see the inside of Keller's Bakery, if you guys want to see what I've been talking about all season, Keller's Bakery at 627 Lafayette Street off the Youngsville Highway. You guys need to go down there, tell them that the dean sent you, and get you 2 free cookies with your order, okay? He will be appearing. We're gonna get a little peek inside of Keller's Bakery on Saturday's show. We're doing a little special thing for you guys, okay? And Dustin's kind of had a really rough month. Started off with the beatdown of the week, if you remember. The returning champs beat him down 198 to about, I believe, 84 it was. And then in the week after that, Nick beat him down pretty bad. This week, losing, I had a really good showing. And if we look at the scores here, he's got 124. He could have beat Nick or Dalton. He could have beat Luke. He could have beat either Hunter and the Cajun Poodoos or Mandy and the returning champs. He could have even beat my boy D Money in a really tight game, or myself. So there was only 3 teams that he couldn't beat, or I'm sorry, 2 teams he couldn't beat this week, and he just happened to play one of them. And guys, that's how fantasy goes sometimes. So it sucks. Trust me, I've been on that end before. You know, I've been the guy who loses to the top scorer every single week, it seems like. But there's no reason to give up. There's no reason to stop fighting. Keep swinging, okay? Go down throwing punches, all right? So, real quick, let's get into waivers and streamers. Now, what I'm going to do for you guys, since we have the playoffs coming up, what we've got going on is this. I'm going to tell you guys who I would like to see on my squad rest of season, or if they are just strictly a depth piece or a streamer. Okay, so I've got 4 quarterbacks here for you guys. One, I'm proud to say, my boy, Alex Smith, comeback player of the year. Look, he came back last week, did nothing but throw for over 300 yards and a touchdown. Yes, he threw 3 interceptions, which gave him 13 points. But take those interceptions away, you allow little mistakes there, coming back. I mean, the man's coming back from a broken leg, so that should have ended his career. I mean, let's be honest. So, Alex Smith, if you look, we're going to look at the rest of his season, okay? With the exception of the Pittsburgh game, I will tell you right now that Alex Smith is definitely a quarterback that you want to have on your squad for the rest of the season. Go week 10. Oh, sorry, guys. Quarterback. Here we go. So we see Alex Smith here. Let's take a look at his rest of the season. And I know he only got 16 points. He didn't throw for any touchdowns, but 390 yards. Not bad. Okay. Next up, he gets Cincinnati. Then he gets Dallas. Now, week 13, he gets Pittsburgh. So I would definitely stream him week 12 and then go back to your regular quarterback for week 13. But then he comes back with San Fran, Seattle, and Carolina. Now, I'm not saying that Alex Smith is any kind of Tom Brady, but we saw what Tom did to Carolina. Seattle, we don't know how bad Jamal Williams' injury is or how long he's going to be out. But if he keeps getting dinged up, Seattle's not only going to be vulnerable, it's just going to be like a come as you are, free for all for offense against Seattle. San Fran, look, they're always dinged up. Their run defense has been decent, but I think you can go ahead and pass on them. And then, as I said, week 13, you're going to sit them against Pittsburgh. Ron Rivera's already come out and said that Alex Smith could possibly be the long-term solution at quarterback for Washington. Now, whether that's just coach speak or whether he honestly believes that is yet to be seen. However, right now, as we sit, Alex Smith is the man in Washington. Okay. This regime does not want anything to do with Dwayne Haskins. They don't want to see Dwayne Haskins again in the offseason. Look for a trade. Okay. So next up, Baker Mayfield. I know you guys are sitting there and everybody just went, really? Baker? Are you kidding me? Have you seen his numbers? Yes, I have. However, I've also seen his rest of schedule. So let's look down here. Now, we saw what Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt did against Houston, okay? And we saw that Baker's only threw for 132 yards. But look at the rest of his schedule. With the exception of Baltimore, possibly Tennessee, he gets Philly, Jacksonville, and then look at championship week. The semifinal game and the championship, he gets the Giants and the Jets. Are you kidding me? This is a dream matchup if you are headed for the playoffs. You want Baker Mayfield on your roster somewhere, okay? Make room, drop somebody who's not performing, and pick up Baker Mayfield. Next up, let's go ahead. I'm going to give you my streamer, and then I'm going to give you my last waiver wire for depth at the quarterback position heading into the playoffs. Streamer of the week, Captain Kirk Cousins going against Dallas. That's right. The captain gets back to Big D and faces Dallas. Now, you remember what he did in Washington. He wasn't too bad against Dallas, if I remember correctly. So, look at Kirk Cousins. Now, there's a reason why I'm not putting him as rest of season. He has Tampa Bay, Chicago, and then New Orleans for the playoffs. Not too good. But streaming for the next few weeks, he gets Dallas, then Carolina, then Jacksonville. So definitely streamable options there. So, who is my last waiver wire quarterback to pick up? That's right. Famous Jameis Winston. Look, With Drew Brees down, we're not sure how long he's going to be out, but as long as Brees is out, the only thing that can stop Jameis Winston is one, Sean Payton, and two, Taysom Hill. Now, Sean Payton might not be as patient as Bruce Arians was in Tampa Bay with all the interceptions, but you guys know the recipe for Jameis Winston. Come in, throw 3 picks, then throw 4 touchdowns because you're so far behind. He gets Atlanta twice in the next 3 weeks. In between that is Denver. If that's not a stacked point sandwich right there, with Atlanta as the bread and the meat in Denver, look, I'm telling you, as long as Brees is out, which we don't know how long it's going to be. He's supposed to have an MRI on his ribs yesterday, and I'm sure we're going to be getting reports about the injury later on this week. Jameis will probably be named the starter, but I'm telling you, the way that Brees is, yes, he's going to fight to get back in, but Sean Payton's not going to let him as long as Jameis Winston can win. Okay? The Saints have got to keep pace with Tampa Bay, and their schedule is so soft. With the exception of KC, you get Atlanta, Denver, Atlanta, Philly, and then Minnesota for the championship week. Saints fans, if you guys don't make the playoffs or at least win the NFC South, I don't know what's going on. So we see the projected point total here at 24. I think he can do better. Remember, the first half, you're not going to want to watch. Third and fourth quarter, tune in and see your points soar. Okay. Last year, he had 2 receivers, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Remember those guys? Remember the 5,000 yards he passed for, the 30 touchdowns and the 30 interceptions? Look, he threw the 30 interceptions, which is why he was able to throw for 5,000 yards and 30 points or 30 touchdowns, because he had to. Okay? I'm telling you guys, go out, get you some Jameis Winston, and sit back and relax. Okay? If you're having trouble at quarterback, if you don't have one of the top tier guys, what's the harm? Now, moving on to running backs. This first guy I'm going to bring up, he should already be rostered in your league. If he is not, like he's not in our league, go out and get you some Nyheim Hines. Look, I've heard guys on other shows time and time again, all for the last couple of weeks, going, Nyheim Hines was good this week, but next week he's not going to be anything. And then next week happens, well, Wilkins was there, and he wasn't doing that well, and they didn't want to rely on Jonathan Taylor, and they just keep making excuses for why not to pick up Nyheim Hines. Nyheim Hines was one of the top running backs this week. 28.5 points. Okay. 5 receptions and a touchdown, 70 yards and a TD. Look, he just went off. And it was against Tennessee. Tennessee's supposed to be, a halfway decent defense. What happened? What happened was Philip Rivers loves running backs. He loves pass catching running backs. If you don't see Austin Eckler and Nyheim Hines, I don't know what you're looking at. Okay? So, if Nyheim Hines is available in your league, go get him, because I want to show you this. Rest of schedule for Nyheim Hines goes as such. You take the Pittsburgh game in week 16. You guys can find somebody to play in week 16. If you're in week 16, you're still playing. You're in the championship. Okay, guys? Green Bay. He gets Tennessee again. Then Houston, Vegas, and Houston. Guys, look, this just is this is a stack of bad defenses that can't stop anybody. Colts are probably going to be ahead in all of these games, with maybe the exception of this coming week against Green Bay. even if they're close with Green Bay, which it's going to be a good game. But I'm telling you, you need to get you some Naheem Hines, start him, roll him out, you'll be fine. Okay? Now, next up is the next on the list here. Sexy Rexy, Rex Burkhead with the bald head. And you guys know I got nothing against bald-headed people. My pastor, as you saw, is bald. Love Pastor Jamie. So, shout out to OSC. Hey, guys. So here we see Houston, Arizona, the Chargers, the Rams. Might be a little tough stretch there during the playoffs. But for depth at running back, yes, I know it's New England, but if you're going to get somebody, you might as well get somebody that they use on a regular, and that's pretty much stayed healthy. And that's why he's on this list, is because he has been healthy. Okay. He's been reliable. The volume is there. So, as long as if you got Sonny Michel that's been out, Damon Harris has been in and out. James White is in and out. Rex Burkhead has been the one that has pretty much stayed. Okay. Next up on the list, Gus Bus Edwards. Look, Gus Edwards, and I'm putting a disclaimer with Gus, and here it is. The disclaimer with Gus Edwards is as long as Mark Ingram is out, then he's good to go. Ingram's out here. Ingram's out here. Yeah, Ingram was out here, but it was New England, and they just looked horrible against New England. I don't know what was going on there. Keep an eye on his rest of schedule. Down to the bottom, we see that he gets the Giants week 16, Jacksonville week 15. Cleveland's going to be a little rough, but week 13, if you need help getting into the playoffs, if you need that win for week 13, if Mark Ingram's not playing in week 13, then you need to get you some depth at running back with Gus Edwards. Okay, guys? And I'm not saying roll these guys out as starters over whoever you have starting right now, but I'm saying build your depth going into the playoffs and for that playoff run. Next up, this one is my streamer of the week. Let's see. There he is. Salvan Ahmed. Now, down here, the only reason I'm saying this, excuse me. He has been the guy with all of the turmoil that's going on in Miami, okay? With the turnover from quarterback going from Fitzpatrick to Tua, then you got Myles Gaskin, who's on IR. As long as Myles Gaskin is on IR, this guy has Ahmed has cleared out a spot as the lead back. Matt Breida has been hurt with a hamstring. Jordan Howard apparently does not have the vote of confidence from the coaching staff. And Lynn Bowden, who apparently also doesn't have the vote of the coaching staff. This is the guy who has stepped up in the absence of Myles Gaskin. Now, once Gaskin's back, then he becomes irrelevant, okay? But if you need help in the short term, they've got Denver and then the Jets coming up. So if Gaskin is still on the IR, this is the guy you want to plug in if you're looking for depth at the running back spot, okay, guys? And he's definitely a streamer of the week against Denver because we saw what Josh Jacobs and Deontay Booker did Devontae Booker did last week against Denver. Denver's just not good, period, on either side of the ball right now. So let's go to wide receiver real quick. Now, we see up top here, MVS. I know. I can't believe I'm doing this either. But MVS, as long as Allen Lazard is gone, apparently he is the go-to when it's not Devontae Adams. So, like I've said before, if you want to go trust MVS, go right ahead. I can't blame you. 149 points and a touchdown. Scream, pick me up. Okay? With caution. Okay? Go ahead, take him, but keep an eye on Allen Lazard and his return date. Once Allen Lazard gets back, you need to temper your expectations for MVS. Jacoby Myers. Look, people have been screaming about this kid for the last couple of weeks. Apparently, Cam Newton found him a wide receiver. We see last week against the Jets, almost 30 points. And then this previous week against Baltimore, 17. He gets Houston and then Arizona, the Chargers, the Rams, then a little tough stretch against Miami and Buffalo. But if this kid is the only kid in town, then I'm telling you, go ahead and pick him up. It's the same as with Terry McLaurin in Washington. Terry McLaurin is the only wide receiving option in Washington. That's why you drafted him. Jacoby Myers, the only wide receiver option in New England. So, now, this next guy I've talked about before, and I've warned you guys, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on with him. Okay, that's Mike Williams. Okay, Mike Williams of the Chargers. He's up and down. He's hit and miss. But if you need depth, he's a really good option to have. Okay. Couple of guys that you might want to think about. Jalen Reagor, you might want to consider picking up if you have depth at the position. Rashad Higgins, if you have the room to stash them away, go ahead and do so. Cordell Patterson. Now, Nick Foles got knocked out of last night's game late in the fourth, got carted off the field. That means they're going to have to go back to Mitch Trubisky. Do they want to go back to Trubisky? No. They're forced to. Can Cordell Patterson be used in those gimmicky type plays? Sure. So you're looking at rushing attempts plus passing attempts. But the man that catches the ball in Chicago is Allen Robinson. If you don't have him on your roster, sorry. Now, as far as a little more depth, Josh Reynolds for the Rams. Everybody knows that it's Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp in LA. Okay, that's the 1-2 punch. But then you've got a third wheel that comes along every now and then in Josh Reynolds. Let's pull up real quick. Take a look at his stats. And we see serviceable for a couple of weeks. Good showing against a tough Chicago team. And this is a thing where they shut down Kupp and Woods, and Reynolds is the guy that's left with the third best coverage. He's not a third best coverage guy. If he was on another team, he might be the number 2. Okay, but behind Woods and Kupp, he's number 3. Okay. Now we see he gets Tampa Bay, San Fran, Arizona, New England, the Jets, and then Seattle again that he just put up almost 18 points on. So if you're looking for a little depth, if you want to shore it up, and look, this guy's pretty much stayed healthy. most of the year. I don't remember hearing about Josh Jacobs going on an injury list. I don't hear about any issues with him. So if you want to stash him away, pull him out for the playoffs, go right ahead. That's what this show is all about, is looking at environments around players. That's why we're looking at rest of season schedule. It's time right now, guys. You've got to be playing chess, not checkers. If you're playing checkers, you're lost. Playing chess, you're 3 and 4 moves ahead. That's what I'm trying to show you guys with being environmentally aware of the fantasy football landscape. Okay. Next guy up, KJ Hamler. Now, look, I know it's not a good situation in Denver, but if it's not Jerry Jeudy, which a lot of people aren't letting him go, they're just sitting him on their bench because he's just too talented to drop. KJ Hamler is probably out there. You can probably build a little depth at the wide receiver position if you're hurting. So, next up, tight ends. And then we're going to wrap it up with defenses. So, rest of season. Now, Cameron Brate got in the mix, but I'm telling you right now, Rob Gronkowski is the guy. He's gonna eat into a lot of work, and it's gonna be tough to tell who's gonna go off with. Jordan Reed, however, as long as he stays healthy, is a good option. He's not on my list this week, mainly because in a lot of leagues, Jordan Reed is probably already rostered. If he's not, and you need some help at tight end, he is definitely one to get because, hey, the passing game's got to go through somebody in San Fran. So Brandon Ayuk can't catch everything. Okay. Ricky James, we never heard anything about him until everyone else either went on the COVID list or got knocked out from injury. So Jordan Reed, good option. Really haven't only seen him for a couple of games back with Nick Mullins, but we'll see how that goes. First on my list is third on this list, and that's Logan Thomas. Look, Alex Smith is not a push it down the field type guy. Okay. He's not a deep ball threat. He's a middle of the road, safe play. He's not going to lose you the game, but he's going to get you in position to win it. Now, in doing so, he's going to use his tight end, Logan Thomas, talented tight end, has the ability to make plays and give you a good performance. This week was absolutely wretched for tight ends. Now, even if you had Travis Kelce this week, which we didn't, but if we did, he would have probably been far and away the best tight end, okay? And I'm going to show you what I mean right here. Let's pull up all of the tight ends for this week. The top tight end only got you 13 points. And we see Gronkowski and then Brate are separated by only 1 point. That's one catch. Just a catch. That's catch the ball, fall down. Catch a ball, go out of bounds. That's it. That's all they're separated by. Okay. Go down here, and we see all of these free agents in the top. Pharaoh Brown in Houston. I can't depend on that. Richard Rodgers in Philly. Look, Dallas Goedert, and God knows when Zach Ertz is going to come back. Jonnu fell down. Tyler Higbee was kind of a bust. And then you have Durham Smythe, Kyle Rudolph, who we haven't heard of in God knows how long. Irv Smith is out in Minnesota. So if you want to go ahead and add you some Kyle Rudolph, I understand the attraction because of the name. If you've been around a while, you know the name Kyle Rudolph. You associate it with a good player, but I would caution you against that. Next up on my list, Robert Tonyan. And we've got to actually scroll down here a little bit because he only got 6 points. We don't see this week a lot of production from the tight end position. But Robert Tonyan, if you want to go ahead and stash him, go ahead. We see up here before against Atlanta, New Orleans, Detroit. Had a decent showing against Minnesota at 12. This was the return of Devontae Adams. So not a whole lot there. And the risk you run with Robert Tonyan is if it's the Aaron Jones show or the Devontae Adams show, tight end doesn't exist. There's no need for him. We saw it there with the 1 point performance. So there's no need for Rodgers to go anywhere else but those two guys. With MVS, he's just throwing the ball out. They were kind of dinged up with a 33-point performance that he put up. It was like 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns, something like that. But it was all within 10 yards in the red zone. So a little caution there for Robert Tonyan. Next up, if they're available in your league, Evan Ingram and Hayden Hurst, if you haven't picked them up and stashed them, go ahead and do it. So both of these guys, Evan Ingram seems to be on an uptick with Daniel Jones, and then Hayden Hurst is just reliable and is on a really high-powered offense. So let's wrap this up with the defense. So defense this week, this was upside down week. The worst defense in the league, the Vegas Raiders, turn out 16 points. Now, don't get comfortable with that because they're not going to play Drew Lock for the rest of the season. Okay? Or at least not every game for the rest of the season. Got 4 interceptions, a fumble recovery, and 2 sacks. And only allowed 12 points. That's just horrid. Absolutely horrible. What the team that I want to concentrate on here, my streamer of the week is going to be Minnesota because they are facing Dallas. I don't care who you are. When you're facing Dallas, roll out your defense, have fun. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I'm not worried about Garrett Galbert simply because there's film on him now. You know a little bit of his tendencies. You're not catching anyone by surprise. I'm hoping that they've done their homework, that they've looked at this guy, and that initial shock of a new quarterback, no tape on him, no film. They've dug in, they've done the research. They went to the, I believe it was AFL or AAFL or whatever it was that he played in, gotten some film there and seen his tendencies. Rest of season, I'm looking at right here, the Chargers. That's right, I said it. The LA Chargers. Rest of season looks like this. The Jets. Buffalo's going to be a little sketchy, but then you get New England, Atlanta, Vegas, and Denver. Can you ask for a better matchup than Denver and Vegas to wrap up your playoff push? Okay? Or your championship run, I'm sorry. With Atlanta leading the way for the first game of the playoffs. Okay? You know they're going to be throwing deep. You know that Matt Ryan is going to be chucking the ball. Perfect time for interceptions. So. Now, next up, and last on the list, the Arizona Cardinals. I don't know, you might be thinking, well, wait a minute. Didn't they just give up a bunch of points to Buffalo? But yeah, guys, it's Buffalo. Josh Allen's going to score points. Okay. Let's look down here I'm looking rest of season. We get Seattle's going to be a little sketchy, but then you get New England, you get the Rams, you get for the playoffs, you get the Giants, Philly, and San Fran. Okay. I've said you can't ask for better, but they're trying really, really hard. So, rest of season, if you need depth, if you've got bad matchups, take a look at your roster right now. Before your waivers process, before they go through, take a look at your rosters right now. Go look at who you're facing. If you're making a playoff run, who are you facing in weeks 14, 15, and 16? If you don't like the matchup, go out and get you some depth. Drop some guys who aren't performing for you. Trade them away. Try to get something for them. Okay. If some of these players that I've named are already on rosters, go out and try to trade for them. Take somebody who's not got a good matchup, might have a little more name recognition. Go out and try to trade for them. Be active. Remember, fantasy football is no fun unless you're active in it. Okay. So that is this show for Tuesday going into week 11. I'm hoping that you guys make efforts to be better each week. Remember, just 1% better each day at the end of the year. You're 365% better than you were when you started. Okay, guys, keep that in mind as you go through your day. Remember to tune back in tomorrow with my start sets for week 11. You guys take care. I've been the Dean. This has been Fantasy Football Academy 2020, and I'm out of here.